The morning sun rose peacefully over Haven Colony, painting the wheat fields in shades of gold. 8-year-old Tommy played near the edge of his family's farm, his small hands clutching a toy spaceship his father had given him for his birthday. The boy made soft whooshing sounds as he ran through the tall grass, imagining adventures among the stars. His mother, Mary, watched from the porch of their modest home, a gentle smile on her face. The colony had been their home for 3 years now, ever since they'd left Earth for a simpler life. Haven lived up to its name, a peaceful world where humans had built a thriving agricultural community. The peace shattered at exactly 9:47 local time. The first sign was a strange humming in the air. Mary looked up, shielding her eyes against the sun. Through the clear morning sky, she saw them. 3 ships, their hulls gleaming with an alien metallic sheen she had never seen before. They weren't human vessels. Their design was all wrong, all sharp angles and threatening spikes. "Tommy," she called out, maternal instinct screaming danger. "Tommy, come inside." The boy looked up from his play, the toy ship still held high. His face lit up at the sight of the real vessels above. "Mom, look, real spaceships." That's when the first beam struck. It wasn't like the weapons Mary had seen in videos or simulations. This was different. A pulse of sickly green light that left behind a smell like burning metal. It hit the ground near the colony's main storage silos, turning the earth to glass. The second beam came before anyone could react. This one struck closer to the residential area, and the screams began. "Tommy! Ruin!" Mary's voice cracked with desperation as she sprinted toward her son. The distance between the porch and where he stood seemed to stretch endlessly. The third beam hit exactly where Tommy stood. Mary's world went silent. She saw the green light envelop her son, saw his small form disappear in its terrible brightness. When the light faded, there was nothing left but scorched earth and a half-melted toy spaceship. The colony's defense systems finally activated, but the alien ships were already pulling away, their mission apparently complete. They had come to make a point, to demonstrate their power. They had chosen their target deliberately, the youngest, most innocent member of the colony. Within minutes, Haven's emergency response teams were everywhere, but there was nothing they could do for Tommy. Nothing anyone could do except watch as Mary cradled the melted toy spaceship, her husband Bill holding her as they both shook with grief. Colony Administrator Robert stood in the communication center, his face ashen as he prepared to send the message that would change the galaxy forever. His hands didn't shake as he activated the quantum communicator, the direct line to Earth Command that was only to be used in the gravest emergencies. "Earth Command, this is Haven Colony. Priority 1 emergency protocol." He paused, swallowing hard. "They killed our children. I repeat, they killed our children." The response was immediate. A single word, transmitted in a cold, precise tone. "Confirmed." What the aliens didn't know, couldn't know, was that they had just made the biggest mistake in their species' history. They had violated the one unbreakable rule that united all of humanity. You don't harm children. As Haven Colony mourned its first casualty, deep in space, hidden in gas giants and asteroid belts throughout the sector, humanity's real fleet stirred to life. Ships that had been disguised as mining vessels and research stations began shedding their peaceful facades. Weapons systems, dormant for years, hummed to life. And in his quarters on Earth's main military base, Admiral James Walker looked at the picture of his own child, lost years ago in another conflict. He picked up his command tablet and pressed his thumb against the screen, authorizing the deployment order that would unlock humanity's full military might. The aliens had wanted to send a message. Now humanity would send one back. Admiral James Walker stood at the command center of Earth's primary military base, his weathered face illuminated by dozens of holographic displays. The message from Haven Colony still echoed in his mind. They killed our children. Within 1 hour of the attack, every military commander on Earth had assembled in the underground war room. The room buzzed with controlled anger rather than panic. This was a moment they had prepared for, though they had hoped it would never come. "Show me the fleet status," Walker commanded, his voice steady despite the rage burning in his chest. The main display lit up, showing thousands of green dots scattered across multiple star systems. Each dot represented a ship that had been hiding in plain sight. Cargo vessels revealed themselves as battleships. Research stations transformed into carriers. Mining platforms unveiled planet-cracking weapons. Operation Guardian is now active, announced General Lisa Reed, her fingers dancing across the control panel. All ships report ready for combat deployment. The room fell silent as Walker stepped forward. 20 years ago, he had lost his daughter in humanity's first encounter with hostile aliens. That day had changed everything. Humanity had learned its lesson and spent 2 decades preparing, all while maintaining a peaceful facade. Begin the recall, Walker ordered. All ships, Protocol Omega. Across the galaxy, human vessels began to move. From the ice rings of distant planets, warships emerged like awakening giants. Within the hearts of gas giants, massive carriers powered up their engines. Hidden shipyards and asteroid belts revealed themselves, their production lines already running at full capacity. The aliens had chosen Haven Colony because they thought it was defenseless. They had no idea that 3 of humanity's most powerful dreadnoughts had been hiding beneath the colony's orbital farming platforms, disguised as atmospheric processors. "Sir," a young lieutenant called out, "the Bright Claw Empire is broadcasting. They claimed the attack was a necessary demonstration of power. They're demanding our immediate surrender." Walker's expression didn't change as he looked at the incoming message. Instead, he pressed a button on his command console, activating the fleet-wide communication system. "This is Admiral Walker to all Earth forces," he began, his voice carrying to every hidden ship and base. "For 20 years, we have waited. We built our forces in secret while they thought us weak. We studied their weaknesses while they mocked our peace. Today, they crossed the one line we cannot forgive." He paused, looking at the holographic display of Haven Colony, zooming in on the scorched earth where Tommy had stood. "Launch Operation Thunderchild," he commanded. "All ships, reveal combat configurations. Show them what humanity has become." Across space, the transformation began. Cargo containers split open to reveal missile batteries. Civilian engines shed their covers to show military-grade thrust systems. Communication arrays transformed into weapon targeting systems. The Bright Claw Empire's sensors lit up with thousands of warnings as humanity's true fleet revealed itself. Ships that had been rated as harmless suddenly showed power signatures that dwarfed anything in their military database. "Sir," General Reed reported, "fleet deployment at 80% and climbing. The Bright Claw Empire's nearest forces are already retreating." Walker nodded, remembering his own daughter's face. But today wasn't about revenge. It was about justice and ensuring no other child, human or alien, would suffer the same fate. "Send one message to the Bright Claw Empire," he ordered. "Text only, all frequencies, all languages." The message was simple. "You broke the universal law. You harmed our children. What follows is not war, it is justice." As the message transmitted, Earth's combined fleet moved into attack formation. Thousands of ships, hidden for decades, now formed the largest military force the galaxy had ever seen. The Bright Claw Empire had wanted to teach humanity a lesson about power. Now, humanity would teach them about consequences. The galaxy had never been quieter. As news of Earth's massive fleet spread, trading routes fell silent. Alien ships rushed to their home ports. Everyone waited to see what humanity would do next. In the command center of the flagship Justice, Admiral Walker watched as diplomatic channels lit up with activity. The Bright Claw Empire was trying to gather allies, but finding none. Other alien species had already seen the footage from Haven Colony. They had watched a child die, and none would stand with the killers. "Sir," Communications Officer Peters reported, "we're picking up massive movement from the Bright Claw Empire. They're mobilizing their entire fleet." Walker nodded, studying the tactical display. The enemy fleet was impressive. Thousands of warships with technology that had once seemed far beyond humanity's reach. But that was before, when humans had hidden their true strength. "Begin the broadcast," Walker ordered. "All frequencies, all languages. Let everyone hear. The message they sent was not just words. It began with the video from Haven Colony. Tommy playing with his toy spaceship, the alien vessels appearing, the green beam, the toy melting in the scorched earth. Then, Mary's grief, a mother's pain that transcended species and culture. After the footage, Walker himself appeared on every screen and communication device across known space. He stood straight, his uniform perfect, his eyes holding the weight of humanity's response. To all civilizations watching, he began, "What you have witnessed is a crime that cannot be forgiven. The Bright Claw Empire chose to murder a child to demonstrate their power. Now we will demonstrate ours." The tactical display showed alien vessels everywhere, scrambling to clear a path as Earth's fleet moved forward. Ships that had pretended to be simple traders for decades now revealed weapon systems that made even the most advanced alien tech seem primitive. "We could have shared our advances," Walker continued. "We could have helped lift all species to new heights. Instead, you chose violence against the innocent. You chose to target what we hold most sacred." In the Bright Claw Empire's royal palace, the High Command watched in growing horror as human ships appeared from nowhere. Hidden bases activated. Massive weapons platforms emerged from gas giants. Every human ship they had dismissed as harmless suddenly bristled with weapons. For 20 years, Walker's voice carried on, "We prepared. We watched you mock our peaceful ways. We listened as you called us weak. All we built, planned, and waited. We hoped this day would never come. You forced our hand." The flagship's sensors detected panic in the enemy fleet. Ships were breaking formation, commanders arguing about what to do. They had expected an easy victory over what they thought was a peaceful race. Instead, they faced the largest and most advanced fleet ever assembled. To the Bright Claw Empire, "You have 6 hours to surrender those responsible for the Haven Colony attack. If you refuse, we will take them. To everyone else, stay out of our way. This is not your fight." Walker paused, his next words carrying the weight of inevitable action. "But know this, from this day forward, an attack on any child, of any species, will bring the same response. We are no longer hiding our strength. We are no longer playing the role of peaceful traders. We are humanity unleashed." As the broadcast ended, space itself seemed to hold its breath. The Bright Claw Empire's ships hummed motionless, their commanders frozen in indecision. Earth's fleet, however, moved with perfect precision, taking position around key strategic points. In Haven Colony, Mary watched the broadcast from her home, Tommy's melted toy spaceship in her hands. The sight of Earth's massive fleet brought no joy, but it did bring something else: the certainty that her son's death would mark the end of such atrocities. The 6-hour countdown began. Every species in the galaxy watched and waited. The time for pretending was over. Humanity had finally revealed its true face, and the stars themselves seemed to tremble. The 6 hours had passed. The Bright Claw Empire's answer came in the form of plasma torpedoes fired at Earth's front line. Admiral Walker stood on the bridge of the Justice, watching the enemy weapons approach. He didn't give the order to dodge. He didn't need to. The torpedoes hit an invisible wall 3 kilometers from the human ships and simply vanished. 20 years of technological development had given humanity shields that could absorb energy weapons completely. "They're scanning us," reported Science Officer Miller, a small smile on his face. "They're trying to figure out what happened to their weapons." Walker nodded. "Show them our first card. Defense grid only." Across the human fleet, small panels opened on every ship. Thousands of tiny drones poured out, each no bigger than a coffee cup. The Bright Claw ship's sensors registered them as debris at first, a mistake that would cost them dearly. The drones surrounded the enemy fleet in perfect formation. Then they activated their shields, each drone linked to the others, creating an energy grid that trapped the Bright Claw ships in place. "Their engines are at full power," Miller announced, "but they're not moving an inch." Through the command channel, the enemy admiral's voice boomed, trying to sound confident. "Your tricks won't save you. Our fleet outnumbers yours 3-1. Walker pressed a button on his chair, opening a channel. "Numbers stopped mattering the day you killed a child. Look at your scanners again." The human ships began to change. Panels that looked like normal hull plating split apart, revealing weapon systems that had been hidden in plain sight. Cargo holds transformed into missile bays. Communication arrays became energy weapon platforms. Impossible, the enemy admiral shouted. Those energy readings. You can't have weapons that powerful on ships that small. We had 20 years to miniaturize our technology, Walker replied calmly. 20 years while you thought we were just peaceful traders. Look closer at your trade ships. Across the battlefield, vessels with bright Claw Empire markings suddenly changed course. Their hulls shimmered and changed color, revealing them as human ships in disguise. The enemy fleet was now completely surrounded. Those trade ships you led into your space for the past 2 decades, Walker continued. Each one mapped your defenses. Each one studied your weapons. We know everything about you. You know nothing about us. The enemy fleet fired again, this time with everything they had. Energy beams, plasma torpedoes, and kinetic rounds filled space. The human ships didn't move. Their shields absorbed every hit, growing stronger with each impact. That's enough, Walker said quietly. Show them what a real attack looks like. A single pulse of energy rippled out from the human fleet. When it touched the enemy ships, their weapons went dead. Their engines shut down. Only life support remained active. We could destroy your entire fleet, Walker broadcast. Instead, we're giving you a choice. Power down all systems and prepare to be boarded, or we'll be forced to demonstrate our offensive capabilities. Some enemy ships tried to self-destruct. Their crews were instantly transported to holding cells on human vessels, their ships secured before they could explode. Other ships tried to run, only to find their engines wouldn't respond to commands. In less than 10 minutes, the battle was over. Not a single life was lost. As human crews began boarding the disabled enemy vessels, Walker opened a channel to Earth Command. First contact complete. Enemy fleet neutralized. No casualties on either side. He looked at the tactical display, watching as more human ships revealed themselves throughout bright Claw space. This was just the beginning. The enemy's homeworld was still ahead, and with it, those responsible for Tommy's death. Send word to the fleet, Walker ordered. Advanced teams move in. It's time to show them what humanity's weapons can really do. The message went out, and across the battlefield, human ships began to move forward. The real demonstration of power was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. In the captured command center of the Bright Claw Empire's largest space station, intelligence officer Kate Brown studied the enemy's secret communications. What she found made her shake her head in disbelief. Admiral, she called through the secure channel to Walker, you need to see this. Their attack on Haven wasn't random. They were testing us. The holographic display showed years of Bright Claw Empire surveillance reports about humanity. They had watched Earth's ships trading peacefully across the galaxy. They had observed human colonies growing food instead of building weapons. Everything they saw convinced them that humans were weak. Play the command recording, Kate ordered. The station's computers responded instantly to her override codes. Another secret humanity had kept. They could control any alien technology they touched. The recording showed the Bright Claw War Council meeting just before the Haven attack. Their leaders sat around a grand table, discussing humanity like scientists discussing insects. These humans are pathetic, one general sneered in the recording. 20 years since they entered space, and they still haven't built proper warships. They waste time growing food and teaching their young about peace. Another leader spoke up, but what if they're hiding their true strength? No species can be this peaceful. Impossible, the first one replied. We've scanned every human ship that entered our space. Nothing but basic engines and cargo holds. Their colonies are defenseless. Even their children play in open fields. Let's show them what real power looks like. Kate stopped the recording. They chose Haven because it looked weakest. They never realized every toy spaceship was a sensor array. Every farming platform housed weapon systems. Every trading vessel mapped their defenses. Admiral Walker's hologram nodded grimly. His ship was leading the fleet toward the enemy homeworld, but this information changed everything. "Send this to all human forces," he ordered. "They need to understand why we hid our strength for so long." Across human space, the truth spread. Military bases hidden inside mountains revealed themselves. Shipyards emerged from the hearts of gas giants. Every human colony activated defense systems that had been disguised as weather control stations. On Haven Colony, Mary watched from her porch as massive gun platforms rose from the wheat fields. The same fields where Tommy had played now bristled with humanity's most advanced weapons. She remembered how her son had loved helping tend the crops, not knowing that every plant contained sensor systems monitoring the sky. In the Bright Claw Empire's royal palace, captured leaders watched in horror as humans demonstrated complete control over their technology. Every system they thought secure, every weapon they believed superior, had been studied and countered years ago. How? One Bright Claw commander demanded. "How did you hide all this?" Kate smiled without humor. "We learned from Earth's history. Every time we showed our strength too early, it led to war. So this time we chose to look weak. We built our real fleet in secret. We hid our weapons in plain sight. We played the part of peaceful traders while preparing for the worst." She brought up another display, showing the true extent of human preparation. "Those cargo ships you let dock at your stations. Each one carried dormant nanobots that mapped every weakness in your defenses. Those human tourists taking pictures. Their cameras recorded your military formations. Even the children's toys you dismissed. All part of our sensor network." The Bright Claw commanders stared at the display in shock. Everything they thought they knew about humanity had been wrong. What they saw as weakness had been patience. What they dismissed as peace had been preparation. Admiral Walker's voice echoed through every captured enemy facility. "We wanted peace. We hoped that by showing restraint, by demonstrating that strength isn't always about weapons, we could build a better galaxy. You chose to take that hope away when you killed an innocent child. Now you'll learn why we hid our true nature for so long." The human fleet moved forward, every ship now revealed in its full power. They had spent 20 years preparing for this moment while praying it would never come. The Bright Claw Empire had thought they were testing humanity's weakness. Instead, they had awakened its full strength. The Bright Claw homeworld hung in space like a jewel, its 3 moons reflecting light from its orange sun. Around the planet, the last remnants of the Empire's fleet formed a defensive line. Behind them, millions of civilians watched the sky in fear, waiting for humanity's revenge. Admiral Walker stood on the Justice's bridge, looking at the detailed scans of the planet below. In his hand, he held 2 objects. A piece of Tommy's melted toy spaceship, sent to him by Mary, and a photo of his own daughter. "Enemy ships are in position," reported Captain Rogers. "They're ready to die protecting their world." Walker placed both items carefully in his pocket. "Send the message." Every screen on the Bright Claw homeworld lit up with images of Earth's children playing, learning, and growing. Then came the footage from Haven Colony. Tommy playing, Tommy dying. The message was clear. "This is what you did to us." This is Admiral Walker of the Earth Fleet. His voice reached every home, every ship, every hiding place. "You believe we're here for revenge. You expect us to do to your children what you did to ours." The defensive line of alien ships held steady, weapons charged, ready for the final battle. "But that's not what humanity is," Walker continued. "We don't kill children. We protect them. All of them. Even yours." He nodded to his weapons officer. Across the human fleet, targeting systems activated. The Bright Claw defenders braced for death. Instead, precise beams of energy struck every military installation on the planet's surface. Command centers, weapon platforms, and defense grids went dark. Not a single civilian building was touched. Not one life was lost. "Your military capability has been neutralized," Walker announced. "Your weapons are disabled, but your homes, your schools, your hospitals, all untouched. Look up." The human fleet moved into position around the planet. From each ship, small objects descended through the atmosphere. They looked like Tommy's toy spaceship. "These are gifts," Walker explained. "Each contains medicine, food, and educational materials. Because while you chose to kill our children, we choose to help yours build a better future." In the planet's capital city, the Bright Claw Emperor watched in confusion as human ships landed in every major city. From them emerged not soldiers, but doctors, teachers, and aid workers. Each carried supplies and offered help to anyone in need. "We could destroy your civilization," Walker's voice continued. "Instead, we will help you rebuild it. Your children will learn alongside ours. Your sick will be healed in our hospitals. Your hungry will eat at our tables." The Emperor's own general spoke up in anger. "This is a trick. They're showing weakness again." "No," the Emperor replied, finally understanding. "This is true strength. They beat us not just with weapons, but with mercy." Walker's final message echoed across the planet. The warriors who attacked Haven Colony must surrender to face justice. You have 1 hour. For everyone else, your lives will continue. Your children will grow up in peace, because that's what humanity fights for, not revenge, but a future where no child, human or alien, dies from war. Across the planet, Bright Claw parents held their children close, realizing how close they had come to losing everything. In orbit, their remaining ships powered down their weapons. On the ground, the soldiers who had attacked Haven Colony began surrendering. The war was over, won not with destruction but with precision and mercy. In his private quarters later, Walker looked at the piece of Tommy's toy and his daughter's photo again. "We did it differently this time," he whispered. "We showed them a better way." On the planet below, human aid workers were already setting up schools where Bright Claw and human children would learn together. In orbit, engineers from both species began working to convert warships into hospital ships and science vessels. Humanity had won its greatest victory not by destroying an enemy, but by turning them into friends. 1 year after the Haven Colony incident, Mary and Bill stood in front of a massive crowd. The building behind them was the newly completed Galactic Children's Protection Center, built on the exact spot where Tommy had died. The crowd wasn't just human. Bright Claw families sat alongside people from Earth. Children from both species played together in the gardens, their laughter healing old wounds better than any peace treaty could. Mary stepped up to the podium, holding Tommy's restored toy spaceship. The Earth engineers had rebuilt it, keeping the melted parts visible as a reminder. "My son loved to play with this toy," she began, her voice strong. "He dreamed of flying among the stars and meeting new friends from other worlds. Today, we make his dream real for all children." Admiral Walker sat in the audience, watching as the galaxy's first interspecies child protection laws were signed. The trial of those responsible for Tommy's death had ended months ago. Instead of execution, they had been sentenced to work in children's hospitals, seeing firsthand the value of the lives they had once dismissed. "The Galactic Children's Protection Force is now active," announced the new Bright Claw ambassador, standing alongside Earth's representatives. "Any attack on children of any species will bring an immediate response from all our combined fleets." In orbit above Haven, Earth's massive ships now flew alongside Bright Claw vessels. Their weapons remained, but their primary mission had changed. They were now space rescue ships, ready to help any child in danger, anywhere in the galaxy. The changes went beyond just military matters. The technology humanity had hidden for so long was now being shared. Bright Claw scientists worked with human engineers, combining their knowledge to build better medical facilities, safer colonies, and advanced educational centers. In the Haven Colony School, which had been rebuilt and expanded, human and alien children sat together in classrooms. They learned each other's languages, shared their cultures, and grew up understanding that strength comes in many forms. Today, Mary continued, we announced the Tommy Foundation. Every year, we will select children from all species to receive education and training in peacekeeping and emergency response. They will learn to protect others, not through force, but through understanding and compassion. Bill joined his wife at the podium, carrying a small box. Inside was a medal, created from metal from both human and Bright Claw ships. It would be given to those who risked their lives to protect children of any species. Admiral Walker was the first recipient. As he accepted the medal, he spoke to the gathered crowd. "We built the strongest fleet in history," he said, "but our real strength wasn't in our weapons. It was in our ability to show mercy when revenge would have been easier. The Bright Claw Emperor, who had chosen to step down from absolute power and help establish a more democratic government, stood to speak next. We thought humanity's peace was weakness, he admitted. We learned that their kind of peace requires the greatest strength of all, the strength to forgive. As the ceremony ended, a group of children released thousands of small toy spaceships into the sky. Each one contained seeds that would grow into plants that produce food for all species, life growing from the memory of loss. Mary watched them float away, then looked at the plaque being unveiled at the center's entrance. It read, "In memory of Tommy, whose loss taught us that the greatest power is not in weapons, but in how we choose to use our strength. May all children find protection under these stars." In orbit, the combined fleet of Earth and the former Bright Claw Empire stood ready. Their weapons were still sharp, their shields still strong, but now they protected all children equally, watching over a galaxy that had learned the hardest lesson in the best possible way. Tommy's toy spaceship was placed in a special display case in the center's main hall. Below it, a simple message glowed: peace through strength, protection through unity, a future for all our children. The galaxy had changed, and somewhere, perhaps, a little boy's dream of friendship among the stars had finally come true.